France's national police force is responsible for public safety in urban areas. Its main missions are to protect the general public, investigate crimes and detain suspects. There are 146,000 men and women in the force. 5,000 more will be recruited by 2017. France also has 97,000 gendarmes. They're part of the military and they're in charge of rural and suburban areas, doing much the same work as the police. The French gendarmerie has elite response units, which also operate in specified geographical areas outside cities. The raid police unit intervened in the attack on the Hyper Cacher supermarket in Paris on the 9th of January 2015. Another police unit, the BRI, under the control of the Paris Prefecture, went into action during the assault on the Bataclan concert hall on the 13th of November. Gendarmes in the GIGN unit are mainly deployed in the event of hijackings or hostage-taking. The group may exceptionally work in urban areas, as during the January 2015 attacks. Operation Sentinel soldiers, meanwhile, police sensitive sites such as schools, public buildings and monuments. An additional 3,000 were deployed following the 13th of November attacks, taking the total to 10,000 in all, 6,500 in Paris and 3,500 in the rest of France. Border police are also in place to combat various forms of trafficking and stop people suspected of taking part in an international terrorist network.
Well, as we've just seen, among a wide panel of security forces, the army plays a key role in protecting the French capital, but also other major cities. The men of Operation Sentinel stand guard over sensitive sites, those most likely to come under attack. Now, the men behind me are now being briefed before going out into the city. Let's take a look and follow a team on the job.
The 3rd Military Regiment at Charleville-Mézières. These soldiers are to be deployed to Paris. That's the latest instruction from their captain.
The enemy will not warn us in advance. It's your duty to immediately respond if there is an attack tomorrow, for yourselves, for your comrades and compatriots.
Some of these men were frontline soldiers who served in Afghanistan. This time they're being sent to ensure safety on the French capital streets, and with them they're taking some 15,000 bullets.
We don't know what's going to happen. We have to expect the worst. So here we are, trying to be self-sufficient.
The next morning, we're in the southern suburbs of Paris, in Bretny-sur-Orge. Hundreds of men have converged on this military base from different corners of France. Amongst them, the Charleville-Mézières soldiers, headed by Sergeant Alexandre and Captain Jean-Francis. They're all here in search of special equipment.
Good evening.
Small or medium?
Size small.
What is that?
This is a bulletproof vest made of nuclear, bacteriological and chemical-proof material. We're not aware of the risks yet, but we take these measures just in case.
It was the French Prime Minister that initially warned terrorists could attack the country with chemical weapons.
We will patrol around the sites.
This is a big day for the Sergeant Major and his men. They studied the streets of Paris prior to their deployment. The November 13th attack showed France's vulnerability to terrorists. So today, they're not taking any chances.
Take the next right.
Our enemy is, by definition, unpredictable, so we have to adapt and show our own unpredictability.
Are suicide bombers a threat?
Well, they've always been a threat to everyone. Now with the recent attacks, we have to be even more vigilant.
Today there are some 10,000 soldiers patrolling the streets across France, and it's a 24/7 operation.
Now, the state of emergency declared by President Hollande in the wake of the Paris attacks has given authorities extended powers, but also curbed certain civil liberties. All this in the name of security. But when the self-declared land of human rights warns that it may stray from the European Convention of said rights, it's perhaps no surprise that certain measures are sparking controversy and that critics are pointing at abuses.
This is the scene in a Paris restaurant. All is calm until dozens of heavily armed police burst in. CCTV on the premises captures the moment startled diners realise what is happening. Another camera records officers breaking through 3 doors without checking whether they were locked. The incident left the owner reeling.
It's amazing. You see 40 police at once, you don't know what they're looking for. You feel frightened and shocked.
The authorities may argue there was a valid reason for the raid, but police left empty-handed. And well over 2,000 searches have already been recorded under France's new state of emergency. It's just the second time since World War I that these draconian laws have been resurrected, allowing police to put entire neighbourhoods on lockdown, close public spaces and order seizures inside any premises without judicial oversight. And the number of citizens alleging unjustified arrest is also on the increase. Rashid says after the Paris attacks he was wrongly suspected of being a radical Islamist and arrested.
When I asked the police for information, they told me we have no information. I was on no terrorist list. They just arrested a lot of people.
It's a view shared by this environmentalist. He was placed under house arrest in advance of Paris's hosting of the climate conference, considered a potential threat by the authorities.
I find it problematic because they're basing it on assumptions. For example, the case for my house arrest had very little evidence against me in particular, apart from the fact that I organised preparatory meetings for COP21.
Human rights defenders highlight the dangers posed by the measures.
The concern is on the implementation, the infringement of fundamental freedoms. Undermining the rule of law is not possible.
But France's Interior Minister counters that the current threat comes from terrorism, not from the state of emergency, although Bernard Cazeneuve stresses the government will remain accountable.
The state of emergency doesn't mean abandoning the state of law. We are fighting terrorism, and we will win with the weapons of the Republic, democracy, and with the strengths of our values.
Offering some oversight, members of Parliament must be informed of all actions taken by the authorities during the state of emergency.
Now, because these terrorists make no distinction between military, political and civilian targets, a growing number of people and companies have decided to take safety matters into their own hands. There's no such thing as 100% security, but providing a safe work and play environment has become a top priority for all.
Department stores across Paris rolled out their Christmas decorations in early November. But this year the aisles and entrances aren't just adorned with ornaments and lights. Security personnel have descended on the likes of Galeries Lafayette to search the bags of the 200,000 shoppers that are received daily.
Can you open your coat a little, please?
This is a new reality in the French capital. The country's officials have allocated a multi-million euro budget to ramp up security in the wake of the deadliest terror attacks on the country's soil. And it's not just shopping centres that are affected. Security has been beefed up in and around public transport and other strategic locations. Since November the 13th, the demand for security guards has soared dramatically. In this security company in Lyon, orders have increased by 30% and will most likely continue to do so because clients are demanding long-term reinforcements.
They're already placing orders for several months. This is new, something that we haven't experienced up until now. This morning, I even had requests for over 3 months as part of reinforcement for a number of sites.
And it's not just the demand for security personnel that has seen an upsurge. Throngs of visitors flock to this expo only days after the attacks. A trade show like this usually draws in army and police personnel. But this year, the clientele profile was a little unusual.
Many companies are actually consulting us, companies that didn't used to be stocked with such equipment. Firms, private companies, town halls, even concert halls.
The new customers are interested in advanced equipment such as this metal detector and X-ray scanners. And they come with a hefty price tag.